You're listening to episode 79 of the Bastards of Kingsgrave as we return for our 10th Anime and Manga Corner. This is Amin, and I'm joined by our usual anime group.
Hi, this is Bill. I'm Mr. Corb on the forums.
And this is Bing. I'm Shushan on the forums.
And we have a guest today, another Vassals of Kingsgrave member.
Hey, this is Zach, Alias on the forums. Happy to bring some shocking lack of knowledge.
So, Zach, how long have you been watching anime for?
Well, let's qualify what counts here, because I was watching like Pokemon when I was like 4 or 5 years old, so a
that
while
counts.
for that.
Works for me,
yeah.
So.
It's anime to me.
It is animated in Japan.
Yeah. There you go. So a lot of Pokemon, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh in my very young days. Those were my favorite things. And then I kind of got really into, again, like none of this stuff is particularly outside the norm, but I got into Naruto a lot when I was a little bit older. And that was kind of like the first one that like kind of got me more into, I guess, like the anime zeitgeist, whereas like those other shows were just like part of my morning cartoon kind of everything. Whereas Naruto kind of got me more into like the anime side of things, I guess. And I've watched not a lot of anime, honestly, since then. I've probably watched like 15 to 20 shows, and I'm not really much of a manga person. I've read like a few chapters of a few things here and there, but just haven't got into it much. It's kind of part of my just overall. I haven't gotten into like comic books as much as I want to. But yeah, that's my experience pretty much.
Yeah, we wanted to get you on because it's nice to get other guests from the forums that are interested, but perhaps not as much, or at least have the overlap with some of the big series that we are following now, so we can get your perspective, or if you have questions. And since My Hero, actually let's not go to My Hero yet, because I mean I have to say this is my favorite anime is One Punch Man, and now we finally have a date. Drum roll, it's not 2020, right?
Right.
There was a rumor that it was 2020, and I was going to punch the freaking internet if that happened, but it's April 2019. April 2019. So, in retrospect, like if you were in 2015 when it came out, fall 2015, they said April 2019, you would have torn your hair out and become like Saitama if that was the case. But now where we are now, it's not that bad, right? It's less than a year away.
Right.
Think about it that way. So, and it's just in time, because we were talking about this on the forums. The problem is that One Punch Man, it had a lot of momentum going when it first came out. Did you watch it when it first came out, Zach?
In that area, I think it was the same year. I actually watched the sub of that, which I don't normally do, so it was early enough for that to be really the only option. So,
well, it had the potential to break out in the West, like to make that leap where like just the average person knows of it. It's pop culture, but then when it didn't get the second season, it was just losing steam. And I could see that at the conventions. There wasn't any cosplays. It was hard to get panels going for it. And with this April 2019, it's just in time before the main convention season, the summer season starts. Like Anime North is the next month and so forth. So it'll be just in time to kind of rekindle the interest in it.
So my question kind of is, you guys that can understand the process more of how these shows get made. Obviously, you need an animation studio to make all this possible, and One Punch Man is obviously the first season was incredibly well animated, but my like general Western understanding of TV is like if something is insanely popular, they keep cranking that shit out, no matter what. So
yeah,
why does
it
take
My
so
Hero
long
Academia, right? Like it
yeah,
had like
exactly.
3 seasons in the meanwhile, right?
Yeah,
so
since One Punch Man, there's been 3 whole seasons.
Yeah, it's super popular. Why not make it? Well, I think Bing, you had an idea, or Phil, right? Like what happened?
They changed studios.
Yeah.
They changed animation studios.
So what's the reason for that? Can they just not afford to pay the other one, or
nobody knows why exactly? One of the theory floated was that studio was going to take even longer to produce One Punch Man, another season of One Punch Man. So they chose this one to go faster, which is hilarious.
Well, it was Madhouse that did season 1, right?
Right.
Madhouse. Yeah, Madhouse is notorious for not doing season 2 except for like that one show, like Sakura, Cardcaptor Sakura is like their one.
Well, that's like 15 years in between.
Yeah, it took them 15 years to get to the next season.
Well, I mean, no, but that's different.
But why can't that
actually end?
But like, you think why can't Madhouse get it that this thing is incredibly popular? Do they? It just?
Well, it's not so much they don't get it, as so much as they have a lot of things on their plate. They make so many other things. So the thing with how these shows are made is that they are pre-planned. They need to get a production committee together, and then they find a studio to make it. So and every time every time they do this, they have to plan much more ahead of time. So basically, One Punch Man the first season was already in planning like 2002, 2013. That's when the manga actually started getting slightly more popular. So it and then finally the show was made, but then they were already at the same time as airing One Punch Man, the first season, they were already planning other seasons or other shows of various sorts. So they already have a full plate, and then they figure, oh, we need to make a sequel to this. They have to fit it all the way behind all the other stuff they already scheduled.
Whereas I think if it had been like a show that got this popular created by a Western animation studio, I feel like they would have just dropped everything else and just stuck to it. But it seems like there's a more commitment to pre-plans in this case.
Well, yeah, and there's all these sponsors that you already have to get on board before you make a show.
Makes sense. Okay.
So yeah, I think that's how it works in this case. With Bones and My Hero Academia, one thing is maybe they already found this is going to be popular, so they already planned those second seasons and third seasons.
It does almost feel, and we can get into it later, but My Hero Academia feels like such a show that was manufactured to be popular. You know?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
That was the thinking behind it.
Yeah, most shows from Shonen Jump, the magazine, were Naruto and Bleach and all that. Long running show and One Piece. Nope. Yeah. That magazine, shows where that magazine comes from, those shows tend to be popular.
Well,
so
you can compare. I mean, you just compare One Punch Man to My Hero Academia. It almost fits the One Punch Man. The show itself is like Saitama. It came out of nowhere, like an unpredicted thing. The web comic, then the manga, and then My Hero Academia is just like the standard hero. Like they're just the professional endeavor type hero. That's what it is, and it's good, and it gets the job done, but it's just no One Punch Man. It's not to the same level. So in terms of One Punch Man, because we did have, maybe we'll come back to the manga. That's what I'll do, because I just don't want to spoil you, Zach. We'll come back to the manga after you go. Yeah. I
will say, I have no intention of really continuing Attack on Titan, but I will absolutely watch the second season of One Punch Man, so I guess I don't want to be spoiled on that.
Yeah, let's bypass it, but beyond saying, if they can keep the animation at least up to a decent quality, then it should be really good. It'll be even better than season 1, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a different crew.
Yeah.
I mean, JC Staff doesn't, produce awful anime, but, they aren't noted for being one of the greatest out there.
No.
But I mean, there's always room for improvement. They could be trying to, right? Maybe they are trying to improve themselves.
We don't know how they're prioritizing this show. I mean, you assume that's the case, but that's not how often the case for some reason.
Okay, well, let's talk about My Hero Academia, because this is one that was running for a long time. Even before the anime came out, the manga was popular, but I just never really wanted to. I didn't really felt like I could get into it. But I got into the anime, and it was entertaining. It's the whole school of heroes, and they're fighting the bad guys, and there's the hijinks and the romance or whatever. Shipping is big in the show, I think. If you go online, you can see it.
Male shipping, especially.
Whenever I do the panels, the shipping is the most popular part. But I talked about this actually at ISFireCon, that it reminds me a little bit of Wild Cards, because it's kind of the same idea of people having one particular power, and then they're not super in all ways, but they have one specific quirk that they can do, and not always the best quirk, but sometimes it lines up well in the right scenario.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting kind of inversion of this, whereas in most cases this show is pretty standard in what it's presenting, but I thought it was interesting that in this world 80% of the population has powers. Normally in a superhero thing, the minority obviously has powers, and that kind of creates situations like X-Men, where they're being hunted down. There actually is kind of an ability by the normal people to actually exert some control, because they're just so outnumbered. Whereas literally every person here has, or not literally every person, but most people have a power. Most of them aren't that useful, it seems like, and they don't even seem to have any significance, really. And obviously a small subset of people actually become heroes. But I thought that was kind of a unique approach, for at least from my experience.
And it's the people without any quirks that gets possibly discriminated. That start.
Right.
It's become the cultural norm to have power.
Well, Bakugo was just such an asshole early on. Like, I was just like, why do people like this character? And he's just gradually become okay. He's tolerable now, but just like the way that he acted toward Deku as a child, it just shows that. But it just also shows entitlement, I guess, in a way, right? Because he was born with that power.
Right.
The thing is, and I'm like, we're all caught up in season 3 pretty much. We've been watching it.
Yes.
Yeah, like
I'm watching an episode here and there. I basically know what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not hard to catch up to show.
The problem with it, I mean, I always knew it was not good as One Punch Man, but I still enjoyed watching it. But the moment the show started to lose me, and I still like the characters, is when they had the fight with All For One. All For One is the bad guy, right? All For One is the bad guy.
Yeah,
that's the main.
And then they had this like massive fight, and it's a good episode, and like, you know, they're about to like. All Might's about to like kill him, or not kill, like they're like take him out, and then like I thought that's it, and then he's alive. Like what, they're taking him away in shackles? Like that's just not believable. They would never tolerate this guy to live. Like they would have killed him right there and there. Like the only reason that he's kept alive is because
so they can fight Deku later, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So he can fight Deku later. It's just a convenience for the mangaka to have him fight him later. Like it's just not believable that this guy who apparently ruled the world or something back in the day you can't tolerate him living. Like it just jumped the shark there almost. Like either like it's just like yeah, you're right. It is entirely that so he can fight Deku later. And if that wasn't the case, then it's just poor writing. Like it's just not believable with that many people killed that they would let him live. They would have killed him like right there and there. Like it's not believable to me.
Well, I mean, this is still a world that's currently in development. I think the manga, recent chapters actually, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the recent chapters actually try to develop not just the school, but the actual outside world around the school a bit more to give it a little bit more context. So I don't know if I haven't watched enough episodes of My Hero Academia to deem because I've seen episodes here and there.
Well, I can't judge it from the manga. I mean, all I can judge it is from the anime, and I mean, especially like with like Endeavor there, you think Endeavor would have just like set a fireball into his like broken body and finished him off. Like he's the type of guy that would wipe him out. Like they're killing Nomus right and left. They're killing bad guys. So why don't they kill this guy? There's just no reason for him to live other than so he'll come back and Deku can fight him. I mean, I guess the alternative is have him die and then a clone of him comes back. But at least that's like the bad guy having like planning, and that's his own capacity of doing it. This is just the story writer God putting his hand in to protect this guy so he can have a fight later.
Yeah, I think for me, like the actual logical inconsistency of it didn't bother me as much. I feel like they established even in like the first episode with the sludge monster guy that for whatever reason they don't kill these people. They seem to always capture them and put them away. At least that seems to be like the All Might MO.
Except for Nomus. Nomus get
I guess they're not technically people. I don't know if that.
Really.
So I don't know if that.
Yeah, we don't care about the guys who are like mentally disabled. Let's just wipe them out. The guys that are evil, like they have to keep them alive.
It's
he needs a trial. He needs a fair trial.
I'll say though, I did feel the same way you did, where like I could just feel in that moment when he was being carted away, like the shonen anime treadmill effect that was going to be settling in here, where it feels like it's just going to be a lot like going on forever. There's not going to be any kind of progression, and I started to feel that fatigue setting in that I think you're talking about. So in that respect, I think it was kind of I don't know how I feel about this. And I was definitely less engaged after that episode with the stuff later. I would like to
if you want Deku to fight somebody with that power, make it that the guy somehow like cloned his power and gave it to somebody else. Give it to the guy that like can shatter people with his hands, like the bad guy there, like the first villain. Like somehow give these abilities to somebody else who could then take up the mantle.
Like he could pass it on like All Might.
Yeah, because I mean he can steal those kind of quirks from everybody. Maybe he stole one that lets you duplicate it once or something to give it to somebody else, latently or something. So he can't use it quite yet. Like there's ways to get around it when it's just not that are more believable than we got to make sure this guy gets his fair trial. We can't just kill him right now. It's the guy was like Emperor of the World. He's like Khan Noonien Singh. It's like he's come back and it's like we're gonna just cart him away. Like come on, like it's just not believable. But other than that. I like the characters. What I like to show is the characters, right? And they managed to do, and it took a while to do it because initially I'm like, who the hell is half the class, right? You don't know who they are. But by the third season, you start to finally flesh out and get to know everyone, and the interactions and the characters are the best, I think. part of the show.
Agreed. I think that's the show for me. Is it's got just a really nice cast of different characters, and that's really pretty much the appeal. And for me, like, the show basically acts as like my like current Naruto. Like, it gives me
an updated version of it, basically.
Yeah, it gives, and there's literally like the Professor Eraserhead is basically Kakashi. But yeah, it's for me, like, it's like getting to kind of relive that those kind of early Naruto episodes where it didn't get totally ridiculous, and you get to feel that kind of like slow progression of the characters getting stronger, learning, and all that stuff. It doesn't, like, it's not going to hold the same place in my heart as Naruto did, just nostalgia factor and whatnot. It's not going to like stick with me in the same way, but it's just, it's fun. It's enjoyable to watch right now. Like, the whole tournament arc in season 2 is like, that's my jam. I love that stuff. I'll watch that in anything. I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I don't really care about the main plot line of My Hero Academia, like, almost at all. I care about like the character, like, individual stories. Like, actually, what made the tournament arc good was that it was focused a lot around Todoroki and his relationship with his father.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the better written parts of My Hero Academia.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's handled, and Todoroki is quite a popular character online. Like, he's not the main character, but he's just as popular as Deku, and has the interesting. And so the thing about Todoroki is he's kind of like Zuko, like if he shaved his head.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, Zuko is awesome. So, like, in the sense that he could be a lot worse than what he is. He wouldn't be like, I would have thought that Bakugo was the one in the backstory, like, the abusive parents or whatever. Like, Todoroki could be an asshole and far worse than he is, and he's just more of a reclusive type guy. So he despite the fact that he was, like, abused by his father, and then his mother went crazy and scarred him, he managed to turn out okay, and he's still trying to be a hero and is still inspired by All Might. Everyone is inspired by All Might in some way, right? All the main three, Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, are all inspired by All Might they were young, so that's like inspiring them now. But yeah, and it's kind of, I guess the other part is just with Deku getting powers out of nowhere. I mean, that's fine, but it was kind of tropey that the guy who has no power and then suddenly gets this power. It kind of fits the trope of, like, the peasant boy who suddenly, oh, you're actually the heir to the empire or something. It reminded me of that type scenario, like rags to riches type thing.
Yeah, I do feel like Deku got a little too perfect too quickly. Like, I did enjoy the tension in the early episodes. Like, I actually really felt emotional. And to be fair, I'm a sucker for anything about kids, but I did really feel emotional, like, in those first couple episodes where it's kind of his heart being broken about not being able to be a hero and then getting that chance. Like, I really, that whole sequence really actually, got me to feel something. But it does feel like now, like, none of those negatives, none of those weaknesses of him. And, obviously there was all the stuff in the first couple seasons of him like hurting himself to do what he's doing. But that's all kind of going away now, and it's just him becoming a badass, basically. And there's not a lot of negative left to him.
Which, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. There's the progression, right? He's progressing to becoming more of a badass. He's just like the last episode I was watching right now is like when he was like the guys hear about, like, when he saw it was that naked girl or something, and they're like, I misjudge you curly-haired, smooth-talking bastard.
Yeah.
Remember that part? That was hilarious. Like, I misjudge you curly-haired, smooth-talking bastard. They've had a lot of that kind of, like, hijinks and romance and kind of stuff lately, which I find amusing. I find that more entertaining than the main storyline. So.
Yeah.
Like, Uraraka is definitely, like, in love with him, right? So they have a tension thing, and then yeah, but it's going to become my harem academia soon.
Yeah, I'm not at the point where it's revealed, but I think I know what's going on with that naked girl in the exam. I think I know what's happening there, but yeah, it's a little weird.
Really? I haven't finished watching the latest episode. I'm halfway through. They're doing rescuing people right now. They're in the rescue test. I've seen half of that, but it's kind of. So, like, who is he getting in his harem? He's like Uraraka, and then he's got, like, that girl, and then he's got, like,
the science girl, the inventor.
Yeah, the science girl, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Although I think that's more just Uraraka imagining things. Yeah. I don't think the science girl doesn't care about anything other than her inventions and selling them.
Yeah, that's right. She's quite focused on that. But that's it. That you bring up a good point. Is the side characters in the other classes and the support groups. Like they're getting developed, and I like that. That makes it interesting.
Who is your guys' best boy and best girl in this show?
I think Todoroki is the best character, to be honest. I think he's awesome and has a lot of potential. And girl, the Momo, Todoroki Momo, and I shipped him as well.
That's an easy one. Easy ship. I think I'm not really thinking very hard with the ones I pick, but I think Tokoyami, the bird guy. I love the edgelord. Oh, like
I love that's my guy too.
Yeah. When you see his room, he's a goth. He's got like all this.
Yeah. I love that.
No, he's just complete. What's it called? Tuny Bill, which is like the second middle school syndrome. Yeah.
Well, he also, when he gets out of control, it gets really powerful, right? The dark side of him is pretty. He has to keep that under control.
And then it's also really superficial, but I picked the Class B person, Kendo, the big fist girl, like good character design. I like the way that she behaves. So yeah, she's my.
Yeah, she always because the other Class B guy who's annoying always comes, and she always smacks him around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like Jiro.
Jiro the best. She smacks a guy who deserves to be smacked. See, it's not like all the tsundere ones where Deku gets smacked across the thing. She smacks the guy who deserves to get smacked. So it's all good.
I like Jiro the best. I guess she's the best girl for me. But
Jiro's is she the girl with the headphones?
Yeah, the headphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, headphone jack.
Yeah. She and the lightning guy are shipped as well. It's a popular ship.
She likes to make fun of him.
Yeah, they have a good their quirks actually are kind of cool, like the lightning or like electricity. And the music, right?
And he gets short circuited.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I find the whole concept of Invisible Girl kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Because
when is she gonna do something? Is my question. Like,
right. Well, I mean, she has to be naked practically to use her power.
Yeah.
So every time she's on camera, we're basically looking at a naked teenage girl.
Yes, and we had that one like hot springs moment where like you can see the indentations in the water. Right. Where she's, that was interesting.
The question was, how did some of these people get in there and pass the test, right? I think because people always pick on was it Mineta, the little the perk guy, but his perk actually has quite a bit of power. Like he can use it because especially against robots that can become immobile, right? Like his quirk is actually quite powerful if used in the right way. And so the by the way, the perv is the guy. His quirk has the guy with the sticky stuff. It's designed specifically for that. And apparently he's one of the mangaka's favorite characters.
Wow, he's useful for the mangaka to show fan service.
That's right. He's a root for fan service by that guy. Right?
Yes.
I find it hilarious when he's like, "Oh, come to my room," and then nobody wants to go to his room. They just bypass.
I kind of want to know what's going on in there. I'm curious. I feel like the one I don't understand how he's in the school is Ojiro, the guy with the tail. Like he just has a tail. Like.
Well, he's able to he's a decent fighter, I guess. Like he
can smack people around. I don't know.
How did he use the tail against some of the people in this school? You're like, well, what? They're outgunned by other people. So you're like, what happened? But and who knows, right? Like it's not just physical ability; it's intellectual for the test. Like they write the exams and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And here's an example of why a positive to the show. And actually, it reminds me exactly of why I like Haiku, which is a volleyball show. It's probably the fastest paced manga ever. Like literally, they're pumping it out every second day. Martin should learn from these guys how they pump out the manga because they just pump it out like crazy. And each manga is like 1 point of the volleyball game. And they're like, I have a flashback back to when I was a child, my father inspired me to play volleyball. And then you feel sorry for the other team. But what's cool about it is they have one main character who's a senpai of one of the main characters who's the antagonist, and then he has a rivalry with another antagonist, and then they interact off screen without even the main characters there. So you have side characters that have rivalries and kind of problems with each other, and I got a sense of that a bit. Even though Todoroki is almost a main character, he's almost the main character, he has that whirlwind guy has a problem with him, right? I like that kind of side interaction thing where it's not all on Deku, right? I like seeing the other interactions or Todoroki's arc, right? When he goes home and you see all of that, the family and all of that. So I like that. The more you can do that, the more the show can do well, because the main storyline isn't that interesting. I think the main they exhausted it basically. Like if he didn't want one for all for one to like he should have just saved him for a later fight, you know? Like
the most recent chapters that I have read hints at much deeper stuff going on. I mean, I don't think it's, I don't know if that's that is that interesting, but there's more story to be told.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think we haven't seen like what the next phase is. You know, a lot of what the first 50 episodes have been is all centered around the whole one for all for one thing. So I guess there's other places they could go from there. I thought like one little world building note that was kind of cool was that there was like one mention in there about how after the world got superpowers, basically like technological progress just stopped because they just kept like that was all anyone cared about, and it was just all focused on heroes and fighting and all this stuff. I thought that was like an interesting like thing because like you in a lot of these cases the presence of superpowers like makes things progress faster because you have people that can like build things like more effectively, but in this case that's not what happens. I thought that was cool.
What about Hero Killer Stain? What do you guys think of him?
I almost feel like, and I feel the same way about All for One, like maybe this is just my perception since I binged it. Like it feels like these villains like they resolve too quickly. Like it feels like I don't get a chance. And you know, there's value in that. You know, it's not like doing the like Dragon Ball Z thing where you fight someone for 30 episodes, which is good. That's a good thing. But I just didn't really get a chance to really like fully, and I guess he's probably not done with. He'll come back, but no, I don't feel like I fully get Stain. I don't feel like the fanaticism around him. I'm not feeling it like the characters.
There's recent developments also that made him maybe a bit more interesting.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting. I think because he just didn't kill like every single person. Like he had a purpose to his killing, and that's why he ended up being superior to the guy, like, you know, whatever, I can't pronounce his name, the guy with like shatter hands. He can make you shatter, disintegrator guy. Like he had a purpose, and then the guy had to learn from him. And he probably was just a disturbed individual regardless. Like he probably wanted to kill, like it kind of lined up together for him, but at least he had like kind
like
of
a Dexter thing basically.
Yeah, he had a bit of a philosophy to it. And was pretty powerful. Like it was definitely, it took a lot of effort to deal with him.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
He's a recurring villain.
Well, because again, let's take him into custody. It's like this show is like teaching you that. So, like, here's the thing: like, we don't have capital punishment in our world, for the most part, for various reasons. But that's the world that we have, right? Like, when you get to a world when there's people with this kind of power, you really have to think about like how many innocent people have to die. I mean, that's the whole Batman Joker thing, right? Like how many times is Joker going to be allowed to survive when he uses his extraordinary abilities to deal so much damage? Like you're basically becoming implicit in, like you're partly responsible for the future deaths by not putting like just somebody who can't be controlled in this way, like that dangerous, because they're not even human, they're superhuman, right?
So I have a tinfoil theory that I'm going to perpetuate.
Sure.
To explain all this. So what if like the powers that be are profiting so much by this hero villain dynamic that they intentionally do not take out all the villains so that there can still be more things for the heroes to go out and do and to keep getting all that ad money for their merchandise and stuff.
Well, if that's the case, I think that's pretty cool. Like at least it's playing with that. Like they're halfway there. Like they showed a lot of the falseness to the hero scheme, right? Like when they go on the what is it, internships, and then like Momo and the girl you like, the fist girl, like they go to, and it's like this girl's just like doing all these commercials and everything, and they're making them like dress up like in skimpy clothing, and they're like embarrassed. It's like, oh, because like, yeah, you got to market your sex appeal, right? It's like teaching them that.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of that, but there's also good heroes there too as well. But yeah, the system itself might be. Maybe that's more believable then why didn't they kill him out? Like if the All for One set it up so like when the police got there, they were actually all in as a ploy to take him away or something like that.
And they did also just introduce us to the professional victims. They're at the test.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that
like,
pretend to be victims. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like professional victims.
Right.
What's going on here?
Well, there always will. I mean, here's the thing, though. There always will be villains, though, because when people have this much power, there'll always be a new generation of people that go aberrant and try to seize powers. So but maybe not to the same rate. I don't know. I suppose if you have like a huge army of heroes and one guy goes bad, it could just be crushed by they need to give more challenge to them.
Yeah, I guess my question is like, what's the next layer of villain, right? Because in theory, All for One is the ultimate villain because he can steal anything, any quirk. They didn't get to show like a lot of that.
Yes.
But it seems like that's like what can you best that with? Like what's a better?
But how
power?
did he steal it? Like, does he have to physically do something to steal it, or like how does he take it out? Like,
I don't know if we ever saw. We know that he took like. Also, one of the most OP powers I don't think that they showed enough is that the cat lady who can like see your weakness. Like that's some strong shit. But he took that. Yeah. And I guess he used it in that fight.
Because if you can just take it by looking, he could have just taken All Might's like quirk back. So maybe he has to like restrain you and like take it out somewhere physically. I think I don't know. Like that was a little bit. There's theories out there that he stole Deku's quirk when Deku was a baby. Which is not as crackpot as it sounds, because apparently the doctor that they go to see somehow is in the employ of the All for One. I'm not sure. Like I haven't seen it myself. That's what I heard. So maybe he's been going and stealing quirks from babies.
Just to kind of bring One Punch Man back into it a little bit.
Sure.
I do think that at least what I've seen 12 episodes. Obviously, that's all that exists. I actually watched an OVA for One Punch Man, which I never do. So
yeah,
it's something there. I still think it's a better show. I think, and you've read the manga, you know better about this, but I'm going to be very interested to see where it goes from there, because I think One Punch Man introduced something that was so much more interesting, so much more exciting, like, and so much better handled. This idea of obviously the ultimate hero who's so powerful he just doesn't care. And that's such an interesting idea, but I feel like I want to see if it has legs, right? Because it works for 12 episodes, but I don't know if like that as being the conceit can last as long as, you know, what My Hero Academia is equipped with, which is, you know, the classic like power up. Like you're going to get to see this person become stronger. That's something that's easy to pull off and easy to continue for a long time until it gets to like.
You're right in the sense that like if it was just Saitama, the Saitama show, it would lose legs. But the fact is, that also One Punch Man also has good character development, and you're getting that, and you get more of that. Like the side characters get developed well, so that keeps it interesting. Plus Saitama is interesting, but you're right. If it was just Saitama, it would lose it. But I'm still reading the manga and I'm enjoying it. So we've got another season at least of good stuff, plus more. Like it hasn't got like the latest chapters. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's ultimately about character, I guess, in all these cases. And having only seen 12 episodes of One Punch Man, like I haven't gotten like that level of character yet. But I'm sure that will all come.
Just there's so many good scenes just in those 12 episodes too, right?
It's true. No, like pretty much every scene of that show is good. Yeah, there's not really like a wasted moment, I feel like.
Yeah, so it's do you have anything else to say about My Hero? I guess I think we're probably
that's pretty much it for me. What I wanted to kind of talk about. I again, like, just to go back to it, I'm not 100%. I think that for me personally, for my enjoyment, this next season will be kind of make it or break it. If I feel like that they're going to keep making this interesting, or it's going to end up being the shonen treadmill that we talked about. So I guess wait and see what that looks like next time.
Yeah, I don't like watch
to
it.
a certain level. This is all going to be a shonen formula. This is all going to be formulaic.
Yeah. Well, as long as it develops the formula forward a little bit, right? Like that's the whole point. It's supposed to evolve it to the next level, but I don't like. Here's the thing. This show, I don't watch it every week. Like I had to pile up a few episodes, then I just power through. I'm not so interested that I must see it the week that it comes out. So like when One Punch Man or manga comes out, I'm like, yeah, okay, I gotta read it. So I don't let them pile up. But this one, it piles up, and I catch up. But it's still entertaining as you watch it. Yep. Oh, one last question actually. Who do you guys think? Without going into spoilers, Bing, if you know spoilers, then don't say it. Yep. But who's the traitor? Because there's got to be a traitor within the story.
Oh, yeah. They talked about that in the one staff meeting, right?
Mm-hmm. No, there's not the answer to that yet.
Not yet, okay. Because
there are tons of theories on the internet about that.
The show itself seems to suggest it's the belly button laser guy, because he's like, where was I? He's like, oh, I can't tell you. It was a secret. And he's like, but on the other hand, he's done some good things, so it's hard to say that it's him. It could be Dark Shadow, maybe. Like maybe he has a dark moment where he like gives it up and he doesn't even know, like a split personality thing. I don't know. It could be Manita if he was promised like R-rated stuff. Maybe he leaked it by accident. He was just showing off online, and then like he was giving away information by and they got it that way. Like he didn't even know it was being sent to the bad guys.
So do you think it's definitely one of the kids? Like my impression off that was it was actually one of the teachers that was.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Is that still open then? It's got to be either one of the kids or one of the teachers. There's no way that.
Yeah, there's no way to know. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's within, I suppose it could be one of the. I mean, it could be Invisible Girl, right? She could sneak away.
Yeah.
Or is she going to do something? She's actually betraying people.
Yeah.
But if it's one of the teachers, then who do you think it is?
I think it's the cement guy.
Yeah, because it's not. It can't. It's no way that it's Eraserhead, and like why would the principal be the one to do it? Like if he was, you think he would be more effective at it, right? He's pretty a genius. So. Cementos, maybe, yeah. They have something on him.
He's just not. He's one of those guys who's like a little too good, you know. He just got a.
Well, he doesn't have much screen time, right? He's just shows up, and does something, and goes away, right? Like maybe.
Yeah, I mean, most of the teachers really haven't I can only like 3 or 4 of them really have gotten much. So.
Well, let's see. Let me look at the list of teachers here.
It's Recovery Girl. She was intentionally trying to mess Deku up.
Yamada, the speaker guy, could be it. Speaker guy, or what about Ectoplasm? He looks like a bad guy.
Yeah, but that's why it's not him though.
Yeah,
it's obvious.
Cementos looks shifty.
Yeah.
If you look at his face, his eyes, he looks shifty.
Too happy.
We don't know his background, like what he. Maybe he's blackmailed. He's blackmailed into it. Like he's not a bad guy, but forced to.
So what are some of the theories out there, Bing, if you can say?
I'm trying to remember. For some reason, Denki Kaminari, the electricity guy.
Yeah.
Kid,
okay.
That's a big theory.
He's a traitor?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because they feel like even though he's mostly being comic relief, they featured him a lot more than the other comic relief characters.
I feel like if it's one of the kids, it has to be someone that we like, so that we feel the blow. I mean, I guess there's probably some people who like Kaminari, but I don't. So that's what matters now. I don't know if it's like a majority opinion, but my theory is like I feel like they've been pumping up Shoji a lot. So like maybe he's like not so good of a guy in reality. I don't know.
Yeah, it can't be any.
Yeah, I suppose it could be. Yeah, it can't be the main 4.
There is that police officer who kind of shows up every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like so you see he's backstabbing All Might. Were they friends?
Right.
Yeah. It could be Tails. He said what his Tails for is to be a traitor.
Yeah.
He's a turntail. He's a turntail.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I honestly have no idea, but I guess we'll find out.
I don't know if this is going to be as huge a storyline as people are hyping this up to be, though.
Well, it would be if it was a student. If it's a teacher, it's not. It's whatever, right? There's plenty of teachers they could choose from. But if it's a student, it would be really bad, I think. So
that is one of the ways that you ramp the tension up, right? Because having a personal connection to someone makes it more interesting as a villain. So
yes. Yeah. It depends. Like, what scenario are they actually evil, or are they being blackmailed into doing it? It's 2 different scenarios, right?
Sure. I'm sure that there will be points that the show goes on forever where like some of them get corrupted and whatnot. Like that's going to be a whole thing, but yeah.
That seemed that was the whole point of the Bakugo getting stolen arc. You thought he was going to get corrupted, but it didn't actually.
Right. It was the Sasuke thing basically, or like he turns to the dark side, but maybe that's like another inversion they're doing where he just does not. He hates the villains as much as he hates seemingly everyone else. So or just doesn't have any patience for them.
Bakugo has so much less depth than Sasuke.
The Kaminari traitor theory is this is like a massive.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's like a gazillion posts on this.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
Why is it makes the most sense that he's a traitor? Both of his sides of face look they could belong to a different person. One nice and goofy, the other kind of malevolent. But
there's also another theory is that he is not him right now. The one that we're seeing is not him right now.
Oh, somebody's right now or at certain times?
I think right now, but I think there are different people.
Well, because like the last episode had him like doing all this stuff, like he was like shooting this guy, and it seemed to be development for him, right? Like,
Right.
like it's maybe he has a split personality. It's saying because half his face is evil and half of it is friendly. Maybe.
I feel like it's the same thing with the shipping, where like they take such a small thing and blow it up.
I mean, that's exactly
So like
what this
Jiro
is.
and Kaminari have had one significant scene together, and I guess that's the resource for like this gigantic ship. Same thing with like the two pro heroes, the tree guy and the lady who becomes big. Like there's like 2 scenes, and I guess that's a really big ship too. So
Yep.
Just gotta take every little morsel you can.
There's like a million posts on this. It's crazy. You can't even like cover this stuff. So yeah.
I have to say also, like, I don't understand the appeal of Bakugo at all, but I guess I'm not the target audience. Fair enough.
Oh, does that green-haired girl like Eraserhead? She's a teacher actually, right? Yeah,
The joking girl.
Joker. Yeah. Does she actually like him? I'm guessing yes, right?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't know.
And like, she's the traitor, but wait, she's not in school.
She's not even at school.
Right.
I like Eraserhead. He's pretty cool. Like I like his power and his abilities. Like he's
Yeah, he's the ninja.
Yeah.
No watch, dude.
So that's My Hero Academia. We talked about One Punch Man. I'll come back and talk about the chapters after you're gone. I guess the last thing is Attack on Titan. I actually haven't been watching the 3rd season. Have you guys been watching it?
I only saw
Yes.
2 episodes. The first 2 episodes. They're
Well, Zach,
skating.
Zach, do you have any questions or any comments, or how do you find
So
this?
I have one question or one request, I guess.
Sure.
Okay.
And then I can bounce out, I guess. But my request is, like, I've watched the first season of Attack on Titan a long time ago when it was out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the same problem, like a 4-year gap. I mean, One Punch is actually worse in that sense, but yeah, the gap.
But everything I've heard about at least the manga before new shows were airing and everything is like it's going in a direction that I just doesn't sound interesting at all to me. And correct me if I'm wrong here. I have very limited information, but it sounds like the whole thing is like everybody's a Titan, and it's like all about like finding out more people who are Titans, and that's the whole thing. Whereas like the part that I always found interesting was like the city at the end of the world, like the end of civilization and all that, and trying to survive and all that. So like how does that feel like in reality? And like, can you sell me on continuing? Like, is there a good reason to keep going?
Well, second season's main appeal is based on the fact of revealing people who you didn't think were Titans are actually Titans.
Which I find just so like
that part is true.
I find that so like not interesting.
I think that only goes to an extent. I think that's not the problem. That's not the problem with the show. The problem is, without going too on spoilers, maybe, is well, actually, we don't know. I think I'll say this. I can't judge it yet. I thought this author could be like the George R. Martin of the manga world with some of the subversing things he does, but he's a bit too much toward the butt funnel and of those. Okay. Literally, there's butt funnels in this thing.
That's a spoiler.
I don't think that's the worst one. Let's just say that it's interesting, but I think that it's going away. What's the name of the show? Attack on Titan, right? It's
exactly.
And when you start to go away from that and away from that, it kind of undermines the whole point of the show, right? Like it gets.
There's a point in a manga in which you're either with it or you're not.
Yeah, it literally flips your world.
Yeah. It literally flips your world.
So that's what I've heard, and I just that just doesn't interest me much. Like the thing that was really cool about the first season was like these Titans were like terrifying. Like they were like the power they had. And how difficult it was to bring them down. That was what made it so cool. Like there was so much tension in trying to kill even one of these things. But now it's like if all the people are that, and like it's about like revealing like everybody's.
It's not about revealing people are Titans, but it really it becomes too much political stuff.
Okay.
Do you like Nazi allegories?
Okay. I see. Yeah.
It loses the whole reason why the show is popular is because these Titans are really dangerous and anyone could die was the way it was playing it, right? Anyone could die at any time, like the Game of Thrones kind of. Even though you have this fault, actually it tricks you, right? It protects certain people by killing others, but just anyone can die and it's really exciting. And when it goes away from that, like why even call it Attack on Titan anymore, right?
To be honest, the anybody could die thing is back now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but it's
true.
it's at a very different level than what it was before.
And things are going so like crazy right now that it's hard to judge until we see the end of it what the final mark will be, because there's just so much things happening. You're like, why the hell did this happen? And we don't know yet, right? There's time skips, so it's kind of tricky, right?
Massive time skips.
Yeah. So what I would say is it's not a must-watch show, and maybe you leave it and you watch it later, or you wait till we get to the end and because you can always watch it later, right? It's not a must.
One thing I will say is that the anime is actively rewriting the manga as we speak right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like season 3. Like from what I've seen of the 2 episode season 3, it's going much faster than the manga. And it's done with.
Well, then it could catch up really quickly, right? Like it could dump a lot of the manga and catch up quickly to where it is.
Do you think that's a good move?
Yes, because the current arc in the manga was slow and plodding.
Yeah.
And distinctly
but I'll give you this: the manga is not. He's not trying to make this another 10 years of this manga. It's what I thought it's going to be done in a couple of years. I had predicted it that he was over halfway through, and he's getting there. So we will have an end. Okay. You may want to wait a few years, Zach, and see where it is.
I think that would be better. I think being able to, and that's encouraging. You
power through it at that point, right? Like if you liked it, you don't have to wait till the next week for it.
Exactly, and I think that's encouraging. Just the idea it's not going to be one of those shows that goes on forever. Like there might be some kind of end point that feels like it feels like everything before was worth it. Whereas in another case, it's like just like that again, that treadmill, where it's just like here to entertain you for as long as it can, basically, and that's just not.
You can't be criticized in that way. He could have tried to milk it for a decade or something. He's not going there. I think he's going to try to. It's going to be done in a couple of years, and then we can judge it then. So.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's it then, Zach.
That's pretty much all I had to contribute. But thank you guys for inviting me on. That was a lot of fun.
Sorry.
Sure.
Well, actually, before it goes,
at least watch second season. At least try the second season out and see if you like it.
I will try it.
Oh, second season of which? Sorry.
Attack on Titan.
Oh, has he? I thought he already watched second season.
No, I've not. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I kind of know the big beats, but.
Well, Bill, is there anything? If there's one show you'd recommend this season to Zach, what would you recommend?
Yeah,
if there's anything going.
One show this season. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for.
Sure.
Is Steins Gate running right now? I haven't seen the new Steins Gate, but is it?
I don't know if it is. I'm not watching it.
So I'll say like 2 shows in my top 5 anime are Steins Gate actually, and FLCL. So I guess those both have new stuff now. So maybe I'll check that out. Do you guys have any knowledge about that stuff?
No.
I don't know. It might actually be airing. I think somebody said it was airing right now, the new Steins Gate, so it's worth.
Yeah.
Do you know I did a Be Okay with Ashley on Steins Gate.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Years ago. So we'll definitely have to follow up on Steins Gate, see where it goes.
Yeah, I might check that out. I feel like Steins Gate was like so good in like that contained story that it told, and the way that it kind of like looped back on itself. And I feel like if I watched too much of it, like the whole like multiple realities thing would start to like get crazy. But maybe I'll keep watching.
Pretty coolly, I've only watched the original. I've heard good things about the new one, the new OVAs. So maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's tricky because like I really like Fooly Cooly, so like I don't want that again, that magic to be taken away by new stuff. But as long as it has the same people doing the music, that's a pretty good sign. So
I actually don't know if they're involved.
Zach, did you see all the OVAs for One Punch Man or just one of the OVAs?
Just the one where he it's like the one where he's still he's not Saitama yet, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Or
he's halfway there, like he's developing, he gets all the bad guys in his own flat.
Yes, that's
apartment, and then it's like, it gets kicked out because they were all playing red.
Yes, that was it.
There you go, Zach. Go watch the rest of the OVAs.
All right, I'll do that.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. That was really fun.
Thanks.
See ya. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Zach is leaving, and we're going to go continue on with our Anime Manga Corner here. Let's see. I wanted to talk about actually let's finish off One Punch Man since we're there. I like what they're doing in the fact that they're developing the world, like they're taking advantage of the manga to add content.
Right.
Compared to the webcomic, which went at like full speeds. I think they're gonna do that. I think he's done with the webcomic, to be honest. He's just gonna focus on the manga with the help of the main artist, right?
Mm.
And I like it. I like the Garo's development. I like this whole fight coming here, and then the next few chapters could be really good because some huge fights coming, right?
Just had a chapter that was 130 pages long.
Jesus.
I almost feel like there's way too many characters they're trying to develop now.
Yeah, but I still enjoy it. I like them. So
yeah, it's fun.
Like you're just gonna have like these big fights coming now, and that was the whole thing about the monster arc, where it's like, or the monster association. It's like you think this guy's gonna be the bad guy, and then Garo shows up and just like rushes his way through everybody. And I'm guessing that's the way it's gonna go here too. He's just gonna like develop and crush everything, and then get that whole interaction. But I like it. I enjoy reading it. It's coming out. It's once a month, right? That's coming out, and then so. Let's enjoy it and then go roll into the anime. Whereas Attack on Titan, on the other hand, is a little bit confusing with people's motivations right now. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
It's very depressing.
Uh-huh.
I don't look forward to reading this anymore.
Were you a big Sasha supporter?
It's not so much Sasha support. It's like this. Everything just feels, and also like Historia getting pregnant.
Yeah.
That was probably even worse for me.
But why is it necessarily negative? Is that going to be bad to her? It's going to hurt her, like if she has a kid, or?
Well, I mean, no, like her getting pregnant right now apparently is actively trying to protect her, but she looks so depressed.
Yeah, everyone is just depressed and in a bad state, and it seemed like maybe they could try to make a peace. That's gone, right? It's going to be like World War now, basically, and then it's just like, well, what the hell is it? Like, where's the Titan thing, right? The Attack on Titan.
There's no more Titans.
The Titans were just like this side product of they needed to throw some people over here. Let's just inject them. That's Attack on. It was just so different from what it was initially, where it was a worldwide disaster and they went to this place. It was just that's nothing. You're just a backwards corner of the world, right? It's why even bother to call it Attack on Titan unless you mean like at the very end all those Titans are going to be freed from the attack of the Titans is going to be what it is. But they come out of the wall.
Titans are not just mooks. It's the big Titans, the main 9 Titans, I guess. Yeah. 3 of which are now in Eren.
Mm-hmm.
It's very depressing turn. I don't know where he's going with it. It's still good at suspense, I guess. But everything just seems now. Everybody knows everything now.
Yeah.
So there's no more mystery.
That's right. There's no more mystery. So it's just pure plot line, whereas half of it was mystery before, right? And to be honest, the mystery wasn't that. I didn't like the answers to the mystery in the end, right? So we will follow it and see where it goes. Obviously, this is one of our long running series, but it's not.
The only mysteries right now is in Zeke's brain.
Yes. Like when did he? Like what happened? Like did he change his mind, or is this part of his plan? It's just like. Well, it seems like part of it makes sense. His parents were going to be caught anyway, so he figured I'm going to turn them in, and then I can go underground myself. But then what he did after that, it just didn't make a lot of sense, right? Like, what was he trying to do? He just wanted to get the coordinated power for himself and then use it?
No idea. He's a mystery.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not watching the show. I have no interest in seeing the stuff again. I'm just going to the end to see what happens. But I don't go on panels anymore on it either. I'm just burned out on it. I don't do the panels.
You can definitely get burned out on this thing. Especially once you the break again. Once you hit the break, the significant break, which the anime is going to hit at the end of this season, you're either with it or you're not. Once you know what's actually in the basement, you're either with it or you're not.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on. We've been talking about these 3 main shows. I want to talk about Watamote because I feel that and I talked about this last time as well. It really actually is developing. It's almost like a different
it is
product now. Before it was her like being a lone thing, and now it's like just a wacky band of misfits show, which I still find entertaining. Don't tell me I still find it entertaining, but it's different now, right? It's gone. You've been reading as well, Bing, then, or Bill?
No,
I have been reading. Yes.
Yeah. And she has like her harem now, basically.
Yeah, I know.
It's like
there's almost too many characters now.
There is almost too many characters. So you're right. Like, and it takes a while to figure out who is who. Like, only by the hairstyle can you tell who is who.
Right.
And Mochi likes her, and then like other people like her, and it's still. I mean, the point of it is to be a a dark comedy, and it still has the comedy. It's not as dark anymore.
Right.
But I still enjoy it. But I guess there's never going to be another season of the anime. It's just going to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything more anime-wise from this show, the series.
Is she in her second year of the 3 right now, or?
I think they're ending their second year.
Okay.
Second year in high school.
Yeah, I mean, it could be drawn out. It could be dragged out for a while if they want to just enjoy the hijinks, right? So.
I suppose so. Yeah. She could get a boyfriend or something.
Yeah, that's the next step, I guess. Well, that's gonna be a problem when she has all these. She has this harem already of girls, right? Right. Emoji is probably gonna try to block that from happening. I enjoy it. I can't complain that it has developed, right? If it was the same person over and over and over again with no development, I think I'd be complaining. So I'm just saying that if you've been following this manga, it's changed a lot over time. So we'll see where that goes. I'm looking at your list, Bing. Do you have anything you wanted to talk about? You watched Food Wars?
Oh yeah, I watched some Food Wars. It's even more shonen than My Hero Academia. I mean, Food Wars is basically, if you've seen any food anime, it's the same formula. Except in this time, the formula is people strip their clothes off after tasting how delicious the food is.
Why?
Yeah, engage in rather explicit content.
That's for the fan service or something? What the hell?
Extreme fan service.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun if you like food anime, but it's kind of the same. It's the basic premise is it's a school in which people can fight each other in.
Well, you mean food anime? It's like people who are becoming chefs or something?
Yeah, they battle each other out in how good of chefs.
Iron Chef.
Yeah, no, it's basically Iron Chef. It's a lot of Iron Chef. In fact, Iron Chef was created based on an anime before.
Oh, really?
Interesting. Yeah. Mr. Ajiko. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, you like that? That's fun. It's fun, but it's not. I mean, it's not anything deep.
There's also Berserk. You said you've been reading along with Barrick, I guess. You joined.
Well, I'm not along with Barrick. Barrick's been keeping up. I only just read almost everything since I last stopped in like the mid 2000s.
Oh, really?
Which incredibly is not that much more content.
Oh, it's like another hard to catch up.
There was a meme in which the main character was stuck on a boat for 8 years.
Right.
It was Gendry. Yeah.
Well, he's off the boat now. I actually like Berserk. I mean, I don't know. And has any of you read any or watched any Berserk?
No, I have not. I just lived through the forums. A dark show is all I knew about it, right? It's a dark show.
It can be extremely dark. I felt, and I stopped because it was going a bit too needlessly dark in the manga, when it was just too many monster raping happening.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But I think the original TV show, the 1997 TV show, is worth watching.
Yes.
Because that's a good show, except it literally stops. Just stops. At a very inconvenient point in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely want more answers out of that. But I think the recent developments in the manga is, I actually like it much better. Some people don't because it's not as dark anymore. But some of it's fascinating to me. Like they actually resolved a plot line, well, sort of, that's been in development for 20 years.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, some of these shows deserve an end, right? Like if you can get to the end and actually get there, is good.
It'll be a race. It'll be a race between Miura, the author of Berserk, and George R. Martin, who can
finish this
right first.
That's right. And Hunter, whatever, right? Is he also?
I've given up on Hunter guy.
Yeah, and Black Lagoon. Throw a Black Lagoon in there as well. They're all on an island trying to.
The thing with Black Lagoon is it can end at any time it wants. It's just a bunch of short stories. I mean, must stretch out much longer now, but so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, but I think the guy is sick or something. Like there's been no chapters at all.
He finished the recent arc and now he's back on hiatus.
Oh wait, he's back. Wait, what is this? No wait, chapter's not yet.
He was back. Yeah, he was back and then he's on hiatus again.
Yeah, but I haven't read because it was the Wild Red Card arc. I haven't seen the rest of it. It's not released yet. Because so he's been working on it recently.
Completed. Yeah, no, right. Yeah.
Well, at least he did that, right? He finished that arc and said he's official hiatus. Like a health hiatus, or like what did he say? Like this is.
No, he said he's going to work on a book compilation or something.
Of some other book, you mean? Like
Black Lagoon.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I got to get caught up on that then. Because I did the panel on that a few years ago when it was really stuck, right? It hadn't gone anywhere, and I actually have the end of that. Did you listen to our Black Lagoon podcast, I guess, way back when?
Oh, yeah. I even thought maybe we can talk about the OVA. I think one of my first comments in the forums.
Yeah, we never did that properly.
Yeah, whatever. It's a long time now.
What about Review Starlight? You're mentioning Review Starlight.
It wants to be Utena so badly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really. Well, you know the reason why it looks so much like it.
Because one of the guys working on it used to work for Ikuhara, right?
Yeah, the director of this series was the assistant director on both Penguin Drum and Yurikuma.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that he's sort of, this is like his homage, but it also just really wants to be Utena, and it just can't be because Utena was its own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Special time, special place for it too, right? It came out at the right time too. Like it was.
Maybe. I feel like it's kind of timeless. It's like this perfect art student film stretched into a series.
Yeah. The only person who can make Utena is Ikuhara, and it's ridiculous for anyone else to try.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still find it interesting.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I like the studio producing it. They've made a lot of good stuff lately, in my opinion. But I've also heard that they are having production issues.
Oh.
Like they're pushing right up to deadlines to get episodes done, and they're actually if you read the Sakugaboru blog, they've been talking about they follow internet production companies, and they watch the tweets from the directors and the producers and stuff, and they've seen the producer for this show actually tweet out, "We need help. Are there any animators out there who can help us on this? Please contact me." And last week's show had a few situations where the art looked a little strange.
Right.
Where like maybe they didn't get the perspective quite right, or the compositing, or and it was like, oh, well, that was kind of strange. So it's having issues, but they're pulling it off for the most part.
Right. It's weird to hear that it has production issues because it has the Bushiroad money going into it. And usually when shows have the Bushiroad money going into it, they should look pretty good.
Right.
Or at least look like they have money put into it. So that's weird, but okay. Hopefully it doesn't affect the end product that much. I haven't seen the latest episodes either. I've only seen 3 episodes.
Have you watched anything else this season that looks interesting?
Me?
Yeah, or both of you, I guess.
I'm not. Go ahead, though.
Well, I think of particular note this season, there's this sort of strange show called Hataraku Saibo, which is about the cells in a human body.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I don't know what else was telling me about that, but...
So we're basically following the adventures of a red blood cell as she, delivers nutrients throughout the body, and she encounters white blood cells who are these bloodthirsty killers that murder every non-cell. And it's interesting from like a medical standpoint. There's actually one guy on Reddit who is a med student, and he's been doing like weekly posts like, oh, this is what this cell does, and this is how this makes sense. He relates actual medical science to this show. And so that's been an interesting thing to read. This most recent episode, 2 most recent episodes actually, they're talking about cancer cells. And weirdly, you feel sympathy for cancer at the end of it. It's like, poor cancer, he's just misunderstood. It's such a strange I mean, it's a strange topic in the first place, you know,
Right.
the whole concept. But you know, it's weird that a show makes you feel sorry for cancer.
This is the hot show of the moment, right? Cells at Work.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm mildly interested.
There's also two really good comedy series this season. First one is called Chiho-chan no Sugakuro, and it's basically about this high school girl and the adventures she has walking to school every morning.
All right.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I don't think I can do it any just by describing anything that happens in it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a show. If you want to laugh, you should watch that. And you should also watch Asobi Asobase, which is has one of the most misleading opening title sequences I've ever seen, because it's all smiling girls happy in a field of flowers, laughing and playing together and rolling around in the grass, and then the episode starts and it's just it goes from normal to strange to the absurd real fast. You know, like
The school
a,
life method.
Yeah, but it gets very strange.
Okay.
Uh,
On a scale of Narutaru, how badly is it?
oh no, it's not like Narutaru dark, but I mean Narutaru has a very misleading opening also.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's see. One other thing I wanted to point out. Well, two more, I guess.
Sure.
They're both sports anime. Hanebado is a badminton anime.
Oh yes.
And boy, is the art absolutely fantastic in that show. The action sequences where they're playing badminton, it's you can tell they're computer animated, but they're so good. It's just fantastic. And then the other one is Harukana Receive, which is a beach volleyball series, which is it's also kind of funny because you know how anime series have that one single beach swimsuit episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, every episode is a beach swimsuit episode because they're playing beach volleyball. So there's a whole lot of low angle shots and high angle shots, but it's pretty good sports animation also.
Yeah, the badminton one sounds interesting in particular because I hadn't seen one like that before. Is the storyline itself okay?
Yeah, the storyline's very compelling. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, that's going to be on our to watch thing.
Sports anime is usually a good bet.
I was going to suggest that what we might do for some of these anime and manga corners is maybe a show like that, badminton one, or even Steins Gate, the new one. If we can't afford to watch everything, like if it's too long, watch a couple episodes and say what we think about it, and kind of like pick a show and kind of work our way through it. I thought would be interesting, and only a couple episodes needed per gap or whatever, right? So it could take a couple of years to get through it, but at least we kind of gradually get through it. Because there's no anime show that I'm really watching right now in that manner for this review. I either just go through it completely and do it. Now, is there one that would be interesting to do like that? Like I was just thinking the new Steins Gate maybe might be interesting. But on the other hand, we might, if I like it a lot, we might just watch all of it. Right.
I have not seen the original Steins Gate.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Steins Gate, so I can't really.
Okay, never mind. Not that one then. Well, let's just keep that in mind then, like going forward, if you have ideas. A couple of final points I have then I'll make, and I guess we're getting close to wrapping it up, is so in terms of what do I read? I have because I always keep track of a bit. I read Haiku, which I like, the volleyball one. I read Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun, which I enjoy. It's funny, got good chapters. And then I just needed something to read because I was traveling a lot the last few months. So I think I went. I don't know. For some reason, I knew this manga artist from somewhere else, and I picked it up. It's called. I don't know how to pronounce it actually. Let me see if there's an English translation. It's like Dam no Watashi ni Koshiti Kudasi. And why I found it interesting is because it's like somebody who's like almost 30 and actually following her life. So it's not freaking teenagers all the time. It's like adults. So I picked it up, and it was kind of interesting because she ends up somebody who's not in the best state of her life right now, and then from her coworker is like running a cafe now, and he hires her, and so they have interactions, but they're all adults, right? I like that. You get tired of all the high school crap. You're going to see adults, and kind of a romance, but not the traditional one. It was okay. It was one of those ones where you enjoy reading when you're traveling a lot. Like I wouldn't really. It's not like, oh, I want an anime of it or I'd watch it, but I am reading it, and it plays in some of the characters. It's not bad. If you like shoujo romance, it's not it follows the general ideas of shoujo romance, but if they're adults, and it hasn't had the whole tropes of this person shows up or that person shows up. That hasn't happened. It's just people who are adults and they're interacting. So I like that. And my final thing I wanted to talk about, I'll just ask you, Bill, because you were watching. I was listening to one of our earlier episodes, and you were watching a show where it was like, I think it was talking about like someone who had a crush on their worker or something. Like, how did that turn out? Was that actually a good one? You remember that one where she got injured or something, and then she had a crush, and you were watching that, and you thought it was.
Oh, yeah. What was that show called last season? Dang it. That name is escaping me. Give me a second. It wasn't last season?
It might have been a year ago. Like it was either 6 months ago or a year ago that the episode.
Oh, 6 months ago. Now I'm looking at my music list. Koi wa ame agare no yoni. Right. Yeah, that turned out real good. I still absolutely recommend it.
Is it a self-contained season, or does it look?
Yeah, it has a manga to it. From the comments I read, it sounded like they did change the course of the story. So there's certain events that don't happen in the anime. You do sort of see hints at that because there are some characters who show up for like one episode and then they just sort of vanish. It's like, oh, this guy's gonna be, like the antagonist, and then you never hear from him again. So that was a little strange, but it didn't, harm the show at all, I don't think.
Okay, well, maybe I'll check it out then, because it seemed like it was a show that could have been done badly, but if it's done tactfully, it could be good. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Okay, any final comments, guys? I think that's a pretty good for an episode.
I'll get back to watching anime once I'm out of China, maybe.
Yeah.
Enough time.
Neither of you watched the original Steingate.
Nope.
No.
Let's go check that out.
Maybe.
Steingate, it has the whole problem of it's kind of like almost like a harem show initially, and then you're like, oh, what's this crap? And then about halfway through, it gets interesting. So
I was just against any anime that has colons, semicolons in it. In its title.
Yeah, well, it's good. You just kind of you almost could skip the first half of it if you go to the right episode, and then just watch from there. But, okay.
No, I did watch a related series to it called Robotics Notes, which was, I don't know how it relates back to Steins Gate, but it also has a semicolon in the middle of it.
Right.
And it's listed here as an alternative setting for Steins Gate. It's about a high school club that builds giant robots.
Doesn't really fit what happened in Steins Gate, though.
Well, I wouldn't know that.
Trying to milk off it, get a benefit from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening to our Anime Manga Corner, and thanks Bill and Bing for joining me as usual.
You.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fun to get that episode in every once in a while. This is our summer episode, so I guess we'll come back in the winter.
Yeah.
See where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And check us out on podcastoficefire.com and on bok.wordpress.com and on Twitter and Facebook and all of that. And we'll see you next time.